like no matter how much you make, you just don't have enough at the end of the month? Or do things feel like they're just becoming more and more expensive over time and whatever you have, it just won't cut it? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So, welcome back to TRS Talks. I'm Winston Buckley, the Director of Communications and Outreach for the Teachers Retirement System of Georgia. And these sessions are designed to help you make decisions, not just during open enrollment. We're here during our open enrollment time, but they're also here designed to help you with retirement planning. So yes, you have your pension, but there are other things that you need to think about during your retirement planning process. So that's what we're here to talk about today. All right. So today with us, we have Danny Kofke, the wealthy teacher, and we're going to talk about a lot of things about finances. So this is not just your typical finance show. We are going to dive into some things that you'll find very interesting. Now, this is live. We won't be answering questions during the session, but we will be taking a look at things, comments that you leave for us, and we'll incorporate that in our future sessions. But make sure that you have liked and subscribed and share this with anybody who might not be watching, and you can come back later and watch this. So again, with us today, we have Danny Kofke. After being a teacher for 18 years, Danny Kofke stepped out of the classroom to join the Southern Education Retirement Consortium and help change the way teachers and classified staff save for retirement. Danny's love for teaching and personal finance led him to write 6 personal finance books, including the recently released Where to Spend, Where to Save, a Teacher's Guide to Managing Your Finances. And I got a signed copy here for my personal collection. So looking forward to reading that. Danny's everyday approach to handling money has led him to be interviewed on numerous shows, including Fox and Friends, the CBS Early Show, CNN's Newsroom, the 700 Club, and the Clark Howard Show. He has also been interviewed on hundreds of podcasts and featured in a number of publications such as the Wall Street Journal, USA Today, Money Magazine, and Yahoo.com. He wants to show others if this former educator can do well financially, then you can too. So thanks, Danny.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, yeah.
Great to be here. It's neat to think that we met like 10 years ago at a presentation.
That's wild.
Continue. I know. Pretty cool.
That's wild. Yeah. So just a little background. I saw Danny at Gordon County. He was giving the presentation about personal finance, and he was working for a company, but just he had this genuine feel about him, and I was like, well, let me trade some information, and just been working with TRS ever since.
It's been fun.
Absolutely. All right, so you ready to dig into
I'm
these
ready.
questions?
Yes.
All right, so let's give some credibility to the audience here. So some people might be saying, well, why should I listen to him?
Sure.
So could you tell us about your teaching career and what that looked like week to week?
Yeah, so I started off as a first grade teacher, and then I was a kindergarten teacher, so a lot younger, had a lot less gray hair, a lot more energy at that time. But over time, I slowly transitioned. In my last, 12 years, I taught special education, elementary school, severe, profound classrooms. So students had IQs under 30, so tube feeding, wheelchairs, things like that. But really, I loved it, felt a passion for it. And, for me, I think I learned a lot about, it kind of helped my finances at that time because, we tend to kind of complain about things that are a little minor. And I'm like, who am I to complain? Like, some of my students aren't going to be able to do some of the things that we take for granted. So, I think a lot of times I learned a lot more from them than I ever taught them. But it was really great. Just enjoyed it. But then, just felt called to do other stuff. So now, like you mentioned, I'm helping teachers the way school systems save for retirement. So just hopefully slowly letting that build and just saving teachers. So pretty fun.
Yes, indeed. All right. So yeah, you'll be able to speak to teachers because you can resonate with their day-to-day. So you're not like, rich explaining things to them.
That's it.
All right. So as mentioned earlier, affordability is on a lot of people's minds, and especially educators. So for those that are just starting their careers, it may feel like things are getting farther out of reach. We hear all the stats all the time about how much more expensive housing and food and just day-to-day things are. Any advice that you can give to those that are starting out and may want to buy a home or acquire things?
Sure. It all starts with the B word. Not that one, but sometimes we think it's the bad B word, but the budget. Call it a spending plan if you don't like the word budget, but we have to know where our money is going. And especially for many educators, especially starting teachers, you kind of aren't making a lot at the very beginning. Then increases over time, more than it was when I started, but it's still keeping up with the times, not that much. So we have to know where our money is going. And I'll go back to my times as a kindergarten teacher. I realized that dollar bills act a lot like a 5-year-old if they're given no direction. They tend to just, run around and do what they want. So we have to tell our money where to go. And that's where the budget comes in. And I recommend do the budget before the next month. So right now we're middle of October. So plan November's budget. That way you can make adjustments right now, not just on the fly. And then it's like, hey, you know what? My budget may not balance. So let's just cut back maybe on entertainment or eating out or whatever it may be. But you're already planning the month beforehand. So those surprises don't kind of sneak up, and it's already, your money already has a place to go. And yeah, you mentioned it. I mean, times are right now, I mean, we see it all the time, read about it in the news, just how tough times are for a lot of people. So that's where we just have to scale it back. And we do have to account for every dollar that we earn and then see. And if maybe we need more money, then hey, as an educator, maybe work the after school program, tutor, whatever it has to be. But it does start from the budget, because that's going to detail where the rest of your money goes. It's the foundation for all financial decisions, whether it's saving for retirement, building the emergency fund, getting out of debt, whatever it may be, it starts there.
Okay. All right. So maybe we can circle back to maybe what that looks like, looking at the budget. Okay. Now, you and your family, you share a great story at our half-day events, made some big adjustments in your career. None of us like to cut back. You just mentioned, cutting back, making some sacrifices, and some of us feel like there's nothing to cut.
Sure.
All right. So what encouragement would you give to those that feel like there's no areas to trim?
Right. So to make it even better to relate, my wife was a teacher too. So that's when we met. We were both educators, both first grade teachers. Tracy stayed at home for 8 years, raised our 2 daughters on my teacher's salary at that time, about $42,000 a year. And we do sit here right now, no debt except our mortgage, on track for retirement, emergency fund in place. So we had to, we had to say no a lot of times, especially when she was a stay-at-home mom. Our date night some nights was a Redbox movie and a Subway sub that we split. But for us, what we looked at was, is this bringing us contentment? So I felt strongly, and Tracy did too, about her being able to stay home and raise the girls. And there was no materialistic thing that made us want to change. So I think starting off too, we have to realize, what are our goals? What's really important to us? And then we can kind of plan our spending decisions based on our true values. And yes, times are tough. And if you do the budget and let's just say, hey, I got more expenses than I have income, well, then that's when we may have to look at some other ways to earn money. I mentioned a couple as teachers, but right now, I mean, there is no better time in the history of Earth to have a side job. Between driving, for Uber, Grubhub, whatever it may be, there are opportunities, and it may not be forever. I hope it's not forever. We don't want it to be forever, but to make ends meet, there's sometimes we do have to do certain things, or we have to cut back on some things that we really want. Maybe we don't have as nice of a car. Maybe we don't go on the elaborate vacation, whatever it may be. But, you once again, if you prioritize what truly is important to you, then it doesn't seem like so much of a sacrifice. Like for us, having Tracy stay home at that time, that meant more than any vacation we ever took, any car I ever drove. So that is where our we placed our values, was that. So I think finding that, it kind of makes saying no and cutting back on some things a little bit easier if you're doing what you truly want.
Gotcha. So having a goal in mind helps a lot.
Yep.
And yeah, I've done a number of side gigs, from Domino's Pizza, delivering pizzas, to doing content writing on the side. So I know what that feels like. And Danny, we can't age ourselves too much. You said Redbox, and I know some of the younger ones are like Redbox with Netflix and chill. We got to update our.
I got my cassette player in the car too.
All right. Now, setting time for the budget, that is a commitment. As busy as educators can be, some may feel like, well, then I don't have the time to do that. So how can they keep it simple?
Well, the beauty of educators too, I mean, we do have some breaks built in. So plan it around a break. Many of us just had a fall break. So just kind of look ahead. Thanksgiving break is coming up. So yes, it can be a lot to tackle at first. So set yourself up for success. Kind of map out some time. Hey, I'm going to have a little quiet time to be able to do this, because you're going to have to analyze, especially if you've never done it before. You may have to look back at a few months to see where your money's going, to kind of anticipate where it's going to go the next month. But set yourself up for success. Like if you know you have a busy weekend, the kids got soccer and you got dance and you got this and that, don't try to do it this weekend, because you're going to spend 5 minutes at it and you're going to say, oh, I can't do this. I knew I couldn't do it. And you're going to give up and not do it at all. So that's a big key too, is like right now, maybe Thanksgiving break would be a good time to do it because you have a couple days and just say, you know what, I'm going to set 3 hours aside and just plan it ahead. Like you would plan a budget, plan that time ahead. And that way you can solely devote to it. And then you can kind of give it the proper attention that it deserves.
Okay. That's just really good advice. Okay. Now, the budget is kind of slow and steady. That's slow cooking, but there's a lot of influencers out there that's making a lot of money online. You know, we see it with the from sports betting. You know, you can bet on anything now.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of financial gurus out there that's teaching trading and investing and forex and that sort of thing. So, here's a question for you: should I save first or should I invest first? What's your
okay? So even coming now to what I do with retirement savings for school districts with the 403B or 457, one of the saddest things that I see is a teacher or bus driver, cafeteria staff, whomever, have to take money from their retirement savings to pay for a short-term expense because they don't have short-term savings. So I recommend you want that short-term savings first. Now, granted, there's some retirement plans you may just start off, set it at 3%, forget it, don't get used to it, and that's fine. But we have to have short-term savings in place, because if we don't, then we're going to borrow from our retirement savings. And a lot of time, if you borrow from a 403B, you're going to have a penalty. There's just, it gets you into trouble. And that money is earmarked for retirement, not for next week. So I recommend build at least 3 to 6 months of living expenses in a savings account. I don't care how much interest you earn. You can earn 0.001%. We're not worried about the interest. It's there if something happens. And you know, life happens. A lot of people, they'll say, oh, I just have the worst luck. Well, if you drive a car long enough, you're going to need new tires. If you live in a house long enough, the roof's going to leak. If you have kids, they're going to break something, a body part, something in the house, probably both, right? Things happen. But having that savings in place, it can turn what could be a catastrophe into an inconvenience instead. So, you know, when you just have that, once again, not worried about earning a lot of interest on it, but then you have short-term savings. So when things do pop up, for this summer, I needed to replace my roof. Insurance covered it, but I still had the deductible. Wasn't planning for that, but I didn't have to take it from my retirement account. I took it from my short-term savings. And things that aren't even our fault. Go back to 2020. Not a lot of educators, but other people. I mean, COVID shut down the world. No fault of any of ours, yet some people missed paychecks because of that. So having that short-term savings in place can help you kind of navigate through those things, the life's curveballs that we're all going to face.
That's real. And I've been on both sides of that. I've had no savings and emergency has happened, and I've had savings and emergency.
And which is better,
happened.
right?
Yeah. You know, they both feel bad, but one, you don't have to try to scramble or put it on the credit card.
They both do feel bad. You're correct. Yes.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. And we just don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things now that are happening, and you know, people can find themselves in a situation. So yeah, that's very true. Very true. All right. Now, how often, you said look at the month before, how often should I be looking at my finances? Is it monthly, weekly?
It depends on what kind of person you are, okay? And we're going to talk two different things. So like for your short-term stuff, like obviously the budget, you can plan usually like once a month. I mean, you can check in on a weekly, hey, we're still on track, whatever. But whatever is best for you, whatever works. For some people, especially when you're first starting, you may want to look at it every week to make sure you're still on track. And then over time, if it's kind of automated, you're like, okay, I got it scheduled. We're good to go. I don't need to check it as often. Hopefully that happens, because I mean, even me, I like number, but I don't want to stare at it. I mean, like, that's just not that, you know, I have it in place so I can do other stuff that I enjoy. That's kind of why it's there. But I would say for retirement savings, a lot of us get on those quarterly statements or those monthly statements. That's something, I mean, I know you can make money on the side doing your day trading and that kind of, and if that's what you want to do, obviously you're going to have to check it more frequently. But probably for the average teacher, especially just starting off, that retirement savings, you know, you kind of just set it and forget. You can look at it and the quarterly statement comes in or the monthly statement, maybe take a glance at it. But we have to remember too, our long-term savings, it's for the long term. So if you're just starting off teaching, this money is what you want 35, 40 years down the road. So if the market drops 500 points today, you're not worried. Actually, it's beneficial to you because you're going to buy more shares, you know, when the market's down, if you invest the same amount. So you just have to kind of know, it depends on which you're looking at it. But for retirement savings, for a lot of us, we don't want to make those changes on a daily basis because, you know, we can't predict what the market's going to do. Right. But the short term, yes, if you want whatever works best for you, some people like looking at it every day and that helps you. Fine. But, you know, to me, I would like to get to the point where I'm not having to do that every single day. So once again, I could do some stuff that I enjoy a little bit more.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I like looking at finances and money too, but you're right. I don't want to do this every day. Right. don't have time to do it.
Right. And some people do and have at it. Whatever. You do what works best for you.
Okay. There you go. I like that. Okay. How do you feel about good debt and bad debt? I've heard all different kinds of philosophies and schools of thought on that. Is there such a thing?
I mean, I do think there is such a thing. I mean, you think of, we'll say like a car payment. Okay. So the average new car payment is something like $700 a month now for people. The moment you buy a brand new car and drive it off the lot, it depreciates like 10%. So like you drive it off the lot, you get an accident, it's going to be 10% less than you buy. You're going to lose money. Okay. Something that goes down in value, that would be considered bad debt. Now, granted, sometimes it's necessary debt. So a lot of times that's what it is. It's like most of us need a car to get to work. Okay. So be smart about it. But there is debt that we take on that, yes, it could be bad, but also we may need it for a period of time. But to me, like trying to have as much good debt. So good debt is debt that will enable you to hopefully make more money in the future. For instance, a student loan. So many teachers, we need student loans to get through college. So we become teachers. We have to be smart about it. We've read plenty of horror stories about student loan that people take out way too much and then owe for years and years and years. But if you had no other way to pay for college and you want to be a teacher, well, you got to have a 4-year degree to be a teacher. So that could be a good debt over time if it pays itself. A mortgage for a lot of people, if you play it right, a mortgage, a home typically appreciates year to year. So if you play it right, you put a mortgage down, you have a little debt on the mortgage, but then you pay it off, then you have equity in the house. So things that you'll own one day or can help you build your career, start a business, whatever it may be, that could be considered good debt. But, some of the bad debt is definitely some of those things that we just overspend on that, like a payday loan, things like that. That would be really, really bad debt that you're paying huge amount of interest on something that isn't, gaining value for you over time.
Absolutely. So the Gucci belt is not something that's we should finance.
I mean, it just you do you, but I personally, I probably would not do that. But yes, I mean,
okay,
correct.
I got you. Yeah, you just brought up something. Payday loans. Now these are wrapped up a little different now, and I won't say any of the names. Not trying to get sued by any company, but I do see the convenience of that, the commercials, and they don't say payday loan anymore, but they
and there's new pay. And I was listening to a podcast because I'm old, I guess but some of the payments now that you can basically make, like you can order a pizza and make 4 payments on it. Like it's just, that's the kind of the stuff that I think the difficult part about that is like, especially in that case, like a pizza, let's just say you pay it every month. Well, you're still paying on a pizza you ate 4 months ago. So those are the things I think we just have to be mindful of. Yeah. And the hard part about debt is once you do get into it, it can be a tough climb out, especially if the interest rates are really high. You're working against the power of compound interest, which Albert Einstein said is the most powerful force in the universe. So we just have to be mindful of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, college credit card that I had with $1,000 limit turned into $5,000. It took me a very long time to pay off, so I know exactly how that can balloon out of control.
You had fun at least, though, right?
Yeah, I did have fun.
Was it $5,000 worth of fun though?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
so there you go.
All right, so doing a whole lot of anything at one time could be intimidating. It's like, okay, I want to put on 50 pounds of muscle. It's like, it's kind of hard to do, but what are some small steps that somebody could take if they need to climb out of a hole?
Sure. I mean, just make one positive step. That's all. Like, let's just say this weekend, it's Friday. So track your spending Saturday and Sunday. If you've never done it before, let's just start small. So right now I'm in the process of training for half marathon number 13. So I did 9 miles this morning before coming here. Didn't want to do it. Said, oh, please. But after I took that first step, it became easier and easier and easier as I went through. And a lot of times that holds true with our financial picture too. Find just that one thing that, hey, I can make a positive change in a short period of time, because then you're going to build momentum. And this whole finance game, it's 90% mental. Many of us beat ourselves up. We're like, gosh, I made another mistake. I just can't do this. My parents weren't good with money. My friend. No, find some positive things that you can do, because then you build that self-motivation. You're like, okay, I can do it. Don't try to do it too big at first, because yes, that's when you're going to become frustrated. And a lot of times, and it's Murphy's Law, you're going to start making a change. And guess what? Your AC is going to go out or something. That's just the way it goes. But just stay on track. So that's where I just kind of encourage one small positive, just build that momentum to keep going.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. What are some percentages of monthly income that should be dedicated to certain things? So like how much should go towards a house versus entertainment or food?
And that's a great question. And the hard part with that, Winston, is we're all at different places. So, there's some financial professionals recommend no more than 35% should go towards housing. But let's just say you have no other debt except your housing, maybe you could do more. So that's where you just have to look at your overall financial picture. Like if you have a lot of student loan debt, you have car payments, and you may have to adjust. So that is such a personal, you just see where you are. For some people, they may have no debt at all. Well, then you know what? You can have 50% of your money go to entertainment because you're taken care of. So it just kind of, it varies, but a good ballpark, like for housing, 35%. You should try to, apply. There's a good, like a budget that some follow is like the 50-30-20 budget, where like 50% kind of goes towards necessities and things. 30% goes towards those things that maybe like you're saving up for vacation or retirement, and 20% can go to build short-term savings. So it just depends on, once again, where you are. There's no like hard set limit, but I think that's, once again, kind of goes back to our first question. It goes back to that budget. You have to know, okay, what are my major expenses? Where is my money going? And then you can kind of fine tune that to see, because some of us may have more money to go on vacation if we don't have this other debt, whereas some of us, if we have 2 car payments, we have this and that. Okay, well, like for me, I have 2 kids in college right now, so I don't have as much entertainment money that I will have in 5 years.
Right.
So it's very personal.
Okay. All right. That's good. All right. So if let's say somebody's looking for help with these sort of things, do you know of any places where they can get like low cost or free help? Like any tools?
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there. I worked for a company before I joined CERC. Fruition is what their name. It's a like personal finance. It's like mentorship company. So you can look at them. I think it's myfruition.com. I think it is. So, but yeah, you can there's plenty of companies out there. You can just look for like personal finance help. I know Dave Ramsey has a program. So, but just to kind of help you, and there's a lot of free resources too nowadays too. So. Absolutely. And I think I know someone that wrote a couple books. So, but
yeah, somebody wrote a few books.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So I know y'all are getting a lot from this information. So make sure that you have liked and subscribed if you haven't already. That's our shameless plug. All right. So let's switch lanes a little bit here. Going back to the story that you share with our audience members in person. Mm-hmm. You have shared how you were able to take care of your father due to the sacrifices that y'all made financially. Can you share a little bit of that story and then tough decisions that you made in order to be able to do so?
Sure. So, yep, I'll never forget the date, August 10th, 2017. So I just started a new job in Hall County as like a resource teacher. It was a Thursday. I was driving home. It was the first week of school. So, teachers, that first week of school, you're driving home Thursday. You're like, thank God it's almost Friday. And so we're tired. But then I got a call that changed my life. So my dad had a stroke, and 59 years old. We were just on family vacation 2 weeks before. We were at the beach. He was fine riding a bike. And just like that, went from being like you and I, tube fed, wheelchair, couldn't do anything on his own. So very tough. He spent a couple months in rehab. Then he came home at my mom and dad's house. They lived about a mile from us. We were helping with the care, and then it just got to be too much for my mom. She couldn't take care of him on his own. She was still working, young, had insurance, needed to work for insurance. So Tracy and I made the decision that we sold our house and we moved in with them, with my daughters. They had an upstairs suite, so we lived up there. And then around Christmas break, it was just like we were all trying to juggle our jobs and trying to help take care of him. And if one domino, it was just tough. So I approached my principal. I'm like, hey, is there a way I could work part-time? She was one of the best principals I've ever had. Didn't look at me as a number, looked at me as a person, was like, hey, absolutely. So worked my schedule to where I went to work from 7:30 to 10:30, and then I came home and I took care of him. So I drove him to all his therapies and, was his caretaker. Then I made the decision spring break. I'm like, I'm resigning and I'm just going to take care of him. That's, because my mom was going to supplement our salary some just to help out with that. But he ended up passing that summer. But, it just struck me. Tracy, my wife, and I were actually holding his hands when he took his last breath. But in that house, he was surrounded by love. So his 5 grandchildren, his 2 daughters-in-law, his 2 sons, his wife. And, for me at that time, it was like, I remember he died. It was like a week after Father's Day. So that Father's Day I was spending with him. I'm like, I have some tears. I'm like, this is probably my last Father's Day I do. But then I just was so thankful that I got to do that. And the reason that I was able to do that was because Tracy and I took care of our finances.
That's right.
And we go back to we were talking about the emergency fund. Now, I don't wish that upon anyone. That was a very tough time. but it was also the wealthiest thing I've ever done in my life. So like, I do feel really blessed that we had the opportunity to be able to provide that. And it was a blessing to me. It was a blessing to my dad, a blessing to my mom. So that's kind of where this whole financial game for me, that's really what it is all about. It's like giving yourself opportunities, and, hopefully it's not caring for a sick parent, but it could be even for writing a book. It could be for starting your own business. It could be for whatever it may be. But when you have that financial margin in place and you're not living paycheck to paycheck, you're able to take advantage of things that come your way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So that doesn't happen without that preparation.
Right. And we didn't know. Once again, that's something you can't plan for,
right.
But there's a lot of things we can't plan for.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, when you have kind of financial margin, you have that savings in place, then you can take advantage of that.
Absolutely. That is a very wealthy thing to do. I know you're very proud of it. I can always tell when you speak of it. Okay. Now, as things may have it, life can throw more than one curveball. So after dealing with one tough situation, another may come. So how can our members prepare financially? Let's say if you have more than one aging parent or loved one that you have to care for.
I mean, it's hard when the time comes if you haven't prepared. I mean, John Wooden, the great basketball coach, said when the opportunity arises, it's too late to prepare, right? I mean, but that's where the back stuff, when we talk about at the very beginning of our conversation, is like, you're going to start that savings now. Don't live paycheck to paycheck. Have some of that financial margin in place, because things, and if they don't come, let's just say you have $20,000 eventually saved in your short-term savings account, and nothing happens and you get to be 80 years old. Well, you're going to take one fun vacation, aren't you? So, so that's the thing, is you just kind of have to prepare for things to happen, even though you may not know what's going to happen. You don't know when it's going to happen, but you have that cash in place just in case it does.
That's right.
Yes, because when the moment happens, I mean, that is really tough. If you're someone that needs every single dime that you have coming in, then it really will be difficult to kind of cut back on your job, because you got to make ends meet.
Right. Okay. Absolutely. All right. Now there's the financial aspect to it, which we've been talking about. But can you share some ways people can help deal with the emotional part of it all?
So, I mean, blessed in a way that I had Tracy to lean on and I had my mom to lean on, and we did take care of my dad. It was, there were a lot of tough days, but I'm kind of big, and you've seen me present, like I use humor a lot. That keeps me grounded. Like, I just try to make light of situations. So we just would try to laugh as much as we could and just try to find funny things out of certain times. I remember, like, he would say, my dad would be like, he didn't have any, like, he would have weird feelings. He's like, it's like I'm sitting on a bunch of peanuts. So I lifted them up and I threw a bunch of peanuts in his chair, and he's like, how'd those guys? I said, you. So I mean, just to try to make it enjoyable as it can, because situations can be tough. It's like similar in the classroom. I mean, when I taught special ed, there are a lot of tough situations, but laughter, I mean, to me, it's the best medicine. Is we just try to keep it as light as possible. It's a heavy situation, but we just try to make it and just find those moments that we can enjoy about it. And then once again, having an emotional support group, that is key. If you're on your own and you're taking care of someone, I would recommend finding some type of small group that you're able to talk to, because you don't want to feel alone. Like, I felt I had two other people that we understood. It's very similar to it. You're a first grade teacher and you have a team of other first grade teachers. You kind of speak a similar language because you know what each other goes through the day. So find someone, like, if you're in that position, that is kind of like on a similar team. Right. So you're kind of speaking the same language.
That's good. So I guess you can do that for emotional support and financial support.
Sure.
Find people that are trying to
100%. I mean, we all need to bounce ideas. I mean, even in I'm sure you have a job. I bounce ideas off of people because we don't know it all, and we kind of need that support to kind of help us, and helps us grow and become better.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay. All right. So for someone that's not dealing with anything that's tough, how can they prepare? We talked about financially, emotionally. Mm-hmm. Any other things that come to mind that they can kind of prepare for? Well, and our parents are going to age, things are going to happen. So.
Right. You just have to keep that in mind. And probably a big thing too, and I will tell you, especially, now that I'm older, what a big thing that we've done, and I would recommend, anyone that has like people that are dependent on them, we've created what I call, it's a legacy file. So basically in this file, and I'm very, frugal, it's like a FedEx envelope, but it has all of our important documents in it. So it has like our will, our advance directive, it has bank account information, our retirement account information, anything, like, God forbid something happened to me, I drive home today, something happens, Tracy knows exactly where to go to have all of our information to do, process the things that she needs to process. Or we have to evacuate our house. I mean, in the spring, sometimes there's tornadoes here. I can grab that file. We can leave our house. If something happened to my house, I have all the information on where I need to start all over. So that to me is something like, it may not be an emotional or financial, but like it's going to save you a lot of time. And I will say, like, having my dad pass and my grandmother pass, they had a lot of those financial things in order. They're not fun to talk about, especially like an advanced directive for healthcare. So, I mean, with my grandmother, we did have to take her off a ventilator. We knew she didn't want to be vent dependent. That is not how she wanted to live her life. Very tough conversation. But we knew, we were at peace, like, okay, this is what she wants. So those are, I mean, we don't like to think about it. They're not fun. But when you're able to plan those things in advance for your family member, that's truly in a way leaving a legacy, because then they don't have to figure out these puzzles. They know what your wishes are, and then they can, move on with the grieving process and not have to double think, oh, what, did I do the right thing? We don't want that.
Yeah, no, that was a gem right there. A lot of us aren't thinking about that sort of stuff.
No, and it's, I mean, I guess because I am, now I'm 50, so a little bit older, I think that way. So obviously if you're 25, you're probably not thinking, but talk to your mom and dad about that, because that's a very heavy thing. And hopefully you don't go through with it. But my father-in-law, just a couple of weeks ago, we took him to the ER and had to take him off a vent. And I mean, like, as we age, those things kind of happen. And having those conversations up front can just make that process not easier, but once again, you just don't have those second thoughts of, hey, am I doing the right thing? You can just grieve and express remorse.
Gotcha. Absolutely. Yeah, that's good. Okay. All right. So we're gonna come to take it on home here, wrapping up just a little bit. All right. So some people might have heard all this stuff and they said, it sounds great, but Danny, this is kind of boring. All right. So how can I do this and have some fun? I'm not 25 anymore, as I can see, but as a 25-year-old, how can I, or 55-year-old, how can I have some fun and plan financially?
I mean, moderation is key in a lot of areas of life, but I would say, like, it sounds so restrictive when you say, okay, go on a budget, right? It's like a diet. You think, oh, I'm just going to deprive. But actually, a lot of times when you go on a diet, sometimes you can build on that cheat day. And then you're realizing, hey, I'm actually eating the foods that I really enjoyed. I'm not just mindlessly eating calories. I'm actually enjoying it now. Same thing holds true for a budget. When we kind of give our money purpose, a lot of times we're going to realize, hey, does it really matter that much, that I eat lunch out every day? A lot of teachers, they can't eat out lunch, but they order in. To me, when I eat out, I want to enjoy the view. I don't want to be sitting at my desk in a classroom with fluorescent lights on. That, it's been, so then actually your money can go a little bit further. And you're like, you know what, you free up some, and then you spend it on things you really enjoy. So that to me is what I've realized, that just that mindless spending is where we get into trouble. So yes, I know at first it may not sound fun, but then just think, every dollar you save, maybe put it in a vacation fund. And then you can look forward. Maybe this summer you go to the beach and you use some of that money for the beach, and then it doesn't follow you the home in the form of a credit card payment every single month that you're still paying on. So yes, it's the emotional game. You kind of have to trick yourself a little bit. Maybe build in a couple of fun things. Like, say you're trying to build up your savings. Maybe every time you hit $1,000, go reward yourself with something that you really like. Maybe it's a latte out or dinner, whatever it may be. Nothing big, because we want to stake progress, but you kind of give yourself a little reward to keep motivated. So, I mean, once again, I mean, that you're right. I mean, I know some people that it doesn't sound that fun, but I'm telling you, having freedom is fun. Oh, yeah, for sure. That is what's fun.
For sure, yeah, for sure. So don't save 1,000 and spend 1,000.
No, that kind of defeats that.
but have some rewards built in place for you.
Well, if that's what it takes. Yes. I mean, once again, I'll go back to diet. Like, there are some plans that do, like, a Sunday is like a cheat day. So you sacrifice all week, and then maybe that first week you really gorge, but then you're like, this really doesn't taste as good. And then maybe you cut back and it's not as big of a cheat day. And a lot of times that holds true with the money. We start making some progress. You're like, oh, wait, I really don't care about that. I'm going to save it instead, and I'm going to use it for something I really enjoy.
Yeah, that's true. Going back to something you said earlier about the emotional game. I remember I used to be terrible at savings when I was in college, and I set up this account, and I had $25 automatic draft out of the account to go into savings. And I remember some time passed, and I had like $225 in there. And I was like, oh my goodness, it was such a big deal. I know some people say that in a day, but at that time,
No,
it gave me a boost. And I was like,
sure.
okay, well, maybe I can bump it up to 35 and 50.
See, and that's what happens. It's that mental. It's like, hey, I can do this. And a lot of people we've been lied to our whole lives of saying, and we get bombarded by ads all the time. Hey, you can't, you need to, so no. And it just shows like, hey, I can do this. And you know what? All that stuff, maybe it's not so true. And I'm actually more content now that I have this much. So, but yeah, you'll never regret having the savings, I can guarantee you, because then it just gives you more options.
True. Very, very true. Okay. All right. So you spoke about the wealthiest thing that you did, caring for your dad. What are some other things that you get to do because of the choices you made earlier?
Well, so like Tracy got to stay home for 8 years and raise our daughters. That was a great blessing because we live below our means. Right now, both the daughters are in college. They both have Zell Miller. One has Zell, one has Hope. So tuition's paid for, but college is still expensive. So we are paying for that. My goal, hopefully, is we can get them graduated college debt free, and then you're on your own. I've done my part. What you do, but that's a blessing that we're able to do that. That hopefully they don't have to take on student loan debt, so they can kind of start life fresh and not owe anyone anything. Just to me too, having the option. So years ago, I had a job where I didn't feel passionate about it anymore. It wasn't the right fit. I was able to quit that job and take a job that I felt more passionate about, but it was a $20,000 pay cut. But because we never lived up to what we were doing, I felt more of a calling to be able to do that. So just things like that, when money didn't rule our lives, it just, once again, kind of gave options. This book, so this one you mentioned, is my 6th book. My first book came out way back in 2007. I had to pay $4,000 up front to publish. Publishing industry was completely different, but we were able to take a gamble on ourselves, per se. That book led to 5 other books, led to me talking to you today. If I didn't take advantage, have money to take advantage of that opportunity almost 20 years ago, I wouldn't be sitting here today. So those are the things that just, opens doors a lot of times and gives opportunities that otherwise wouldn't exist.
Yeah, that's good. A lot of people do feel locked into a job, feel stuck. I hear a lot of people saying, I'm stuck, and that's because there's no margin.
And it's tough. I mean, there's studies that show that like 70% of us are unhappy at work. And then like you drive around here in Atlanta and you think people are sitting in traffic for an hour to go spend 8 hours at a place that they don't want to be, and they do that every single day. That's not a fun life. Right. So having that money kind of gives you the opportunity to maybe do something else.
So true. So true. Okay. All right. Now, the last time, going back to the book, last time you were on our podcast, The Wealthy Teacher is what brought you to our podcast. So you just, again, released this book, Where to Spend, Where to Save, A Teacher's Guide to Managing Your Finances. And the foreword was written by our executive director, Dr. Buster Evans. All right. So tell us, why is this book relevant for educators, and maybe not just educators?
Sure. I mean, finance, is for all, basically. But I did write that book. I geared it definitely towards teachers because I've been in that shoes. I've walked that fast, so I kind of know. So kind of geared. And for me, I tried to aim this one more towards beginning teachers, because if you start off your career making the right financial decisions, it's a lot easier in life than when you try to change it 15 years down the road. So if we can learn to live on less, especially, we know getting into teaching, you take a vow of poverty, right? When you sign up to be a teacher, those first 2 years are tough. But if you can live on less, then every year, most of the time, teachers get an increase, whether it's, a little step increase or it's just a pay raise. If the county approves more of the budget goes up a little bit. So to me, if we can just start off living on less, live below your means, every year you're going to make more money, but you continue to live below your means. And, as a teacher now in the retirement game, the way TRS works with this, and then those counties have Social Security, a lot of times if you do it right, after 30 years, your life in retirement you're going to be a lot richer than when you were working.
Absolutely. Okay. Now, is this book just for educators?
It can gear towards anyone. Once again, there's a lot of education specific things in there, but yeah, a lot of people can benefit from it. Personal finance advice is kind of, is personal finance advice. Spend less than you earned, but definitely geared towards educators.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. All right. So you gave us a lot, Dan, a lot to work with, where we're going to be able to repurpose this content and use it. I'm sure anybody who's watching has benefited greatly from it, but any last words of advice, wisdom, recommendations that you want to leave for our members?
Sure. And we talked about it to the beginning, how tough times are right now. We look at the news and inflation is up and housing. Everything is up. And it can be tough. And reading those negative stats, I mean, I feel like it doesn't really do you any good because there's really not much you can change. So I think for me, what I just want to show others, like if this former school teacher can do it, you can do it as well. And granted, I mean, you can get advice from the book. I mean, but if you want to go even higher level, you know, with the options and trading and stuff like that, that's fine. But I think to have a basic to the start, it just shows that you can do well on a teacher's salary. Now, it may take time and you're going to have to say no to some things because, I mean, let's face it, we know the salary isn't that much, but it can be done. And I think that's where I want to show people like, hey, I've never taken a finance class in my life. But a lot of it is, it's pretty simple on paper to follow. And a lot of people can follow it. So that's kind of, you know, for me, the inspiration to show like, yes, if I can do it, you can do it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right, Danny. So where can we find you? Where can people find you?
Sure. Probably the best way. I mean, like I'm on LinkedIn's probably my biggest one, but like the company I work for, the Southern Education Retirement Consortium. So that's sercsolutions.com. So SERC solutions.com. All my information's on there. Way to contact me and kind of learn about how we're changing the game for school teachers and how they're saving for retirement too and getting them a little more money in their pockets. So it's pretty fun.
All right. Thank you again. This is great.
Yeah,
Dan,
thank you, Winston.
All right, folks. So that wraps it up for today. I hope you enjoyed the information that you have. Again, please like and subscribe. That's our plug. But share it with people. And this is the information that we got today is not just for educators, obviously. So I'm sure your family members and friends can benefit from this, and you can watch this over. I know some things we have to eat a couple of times in order to fully digest it. But we will be back again on November 5th with Cindy Lundquist, a Social Security expert. So we're going to talk about changes for 2026, Medicaid, Medicare, and some other things that you need to know. A lot of us are going to touch Social Security one way or the other, whether it's ourselves or with our friends. So make sure that you tune in for that. But that wraps it up for today. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and the school year. Thank you.